Dave here. How are you? If someone can get back to me, let me know whether we're streaming or not. If it's all going well, that'd be wonderful. Just put something in the chat session. That'd be great. I'm presuming it's streaming. Everything here is saying everything's going well. Even with our slow broadband or internet connection, hopefully it's going okay. All right, this is our midweek. I'm sure the sound beautiful. Thank you very much, Fletch. Okay, so this is a little midweek kind of a chat session. I will be doing just a little bit of woodworking. I've got the, you saw on the beginning there where I was doing the seconds up to 9 o'clock. Did you like that? I thought it was a little bit of a twist. I've got the fence, the jointer fence that I made on the CNC and with the bandsaw and all the other machines. It's sitting over there on the jointer, waiting to have a little bit of trim knocked off, and we might do a little bit on that. But the main thing that I've got the show for today is that if you're locked away, now also when I look away from the camera, there's these psychologists will tell you that if you look away from the camera, you're not looking straight into the camera, you're telling a lie. Well, no, I'm not telling a lie. I look away because I start to think. That's what I'm doing. I'm thinking about what to say next. So that's what I do. Anyway, forget all that. So I was off to the side thinking, where was I? If you're trapped at home, not trapped at home, but if you're stuck at home, can't go out, and it's starting to send you a bit crazy, here's your opportunity to have a chat with other people in the chat session. I've got the chat session will be stuck in the screen. So on the recording as well, if you're watching on a TV, you can see what people are chatting about. If you're watching on a television, you may not be able to join the chat itself unless you've got a phone or a tablet or something beside it, where you're sitting down in the lounge room, maybe taking it easy. The chat session is there. Now, personally, I am starting to clear a whole backload of tiny jobs and also bigger jobs that I've been meaning to do, some for a couple of years. One of the things was I've purchased some poison, not to drink, but I purchased some poison for the garden years ago, and it's been sitting in my cupboard here. And it's just been waiting and waiting and waiting, and I thought, yeah, it's one of those jobs, around to it. You know, I'll get around to it. Well, I got around to it, and I've done it a couple of weeks ago, and the results are fantastic. But it's one of those things that life was busy, I'm always running around, and I never got the opportunity to do these little jobs that, you know, they're kind of short jobs. No one can see them when they put their hand up and say, yeah, look at me, I need doing. So have you got any experiences like that? Please throw them in the chat, and I'll have a bit of a look, see if anyone's there. Var Han, where's my pug? All of my pugs have died. Barry died on the 19th of December last year, so he's been gone nearly 4 months. So there you go. Morning, David. Morning, Fletch Whip. Jeremy Horsley, hi, how are you? Les Nielsen, understand the look away. It works for me, and you can concentrate all the better. Yes. You know, the psychologists will tell you if you don't make eye contact, you might be telling a pork pie. And I've been looking at that. When I review some of the videos that I do, I think people might not believe what I'm saying if I'm not looking straight at the camera. So it's just, I'm thinking. And other people will think there's a film crew in here, and I'm looking around and chatting to them, and then, oh, we're streaming, so I've got to look towards you. Believe me, there's no one else here. It's just me. Stuart Cotterill, evening in Asheville, NC. Neil Cummins, hi from Ireland. Steve Curry, checking in from hospital bed. Steve, how did it go? Have you had the surgery yet, or is it yet to happen? Man, you are really on a stay indoors situation there. They're not going to let you out until you're all good. Derek, yeah, getting some of the backlog of jobs done. Well, what kind of jobs have you been getting done, Derek? You know, it's fine to say, oh, you've been getting them done, but give me some experiences. And everyone else, let me know what else is happening. Okay, Vahan, I've been wondering where he was. Hope he's in heaven. I'm sure if there's a pug heaven out there, Barry will be there, who is such a nice dog. Looking away is a signal that you're about to take the floor. There you go. Dancing? Maybe? I know Vicky would like to go dance. I don't even know why I said that. Now she'll be on to me. She'll watch this and she'll say, you know, when I met you, I believed that you liked dancing. I'm not a fan of dancing. I don't know where she got that idea from. Here's a question. If you're a guy and you've got a wife, partner or whatever, or even a woman, partner, what have you, I can't exclude women. You know, women are beautiful. I love them. Anyway, if you've got a partner, do you like dancing or do they like dancing and you don't like dancing or vice versa? You know, I don't mind dancing when there's no one here. Do you ever do that? Like, I enjoy that. If the song comes on, I was listening on my headset, I listened to Amazon Prime Music. It's only cheap. It's about $7 a month. And I get all these other advantages with it as well. So in Australia, it's nice and cheap. And I have a selection. So I picked out 60s, 70s and 80s, I think, as a mix. And Boney M came on. And, you know, they're Ma Baker and all those kind of songs. Anyway, I started doing these little disco moves while I was building this cabinet for Vicky. Thank heavens there was no one in here. Do you do that in your workshop? Do you listen and think, start grooving? Not that you're going to tell anyone, I bet you. Anyway, I'm going to have another quick read down the side here. Chris, your eye contact is perfectly okay. Please don't worry. Okay, Chris, thank you. Fletch, just last night I built a platform to sit my air filter cleaner in the workshop. Small 30-minute job, but one of those little jobs. And I'll tell you what, talking about that, Chris, once it's done, do you look at it and you think, it didn't take so, what the hell? Why didn't I do it earlier? Life is so much better now that it's sorted. Sometimes we get so busy and entrapped with what we're doing that you turn around and you go, any second out, I want it for myself. I don't want to do anything. It's a possibility. I'm going to do another quick read. Oh, sorry, it was Fletch. Sorry, Chris. Fletch Whip. You built the platform. That's terrific. Derek, hedging and guarding. Hedge work is the worst job ever. I hate it. My arms ache because my hedges are up around about 5 or 6 feet tall. And moving up, especially across the top of the hedge when you're using the trimmer, unless of course you've got to do this thing, and that'd be even harder. I shouldn't be complaining. Steve, yes, all done, just waiting for drains to come out. Well, I hope that goes well for you, Stephen, and that when you get up and start walking around that you'll feel like Superman. Good on you. It's a scary thing going into hospital. When I had my hernia operation done, I don't like going in there for 2 reasons. One, because you think, oh, geez, am I ever going to come out again? You hear of people waking up during anaesthetic and all that kind of, all these little fears are in your background. Plus, also, I'm a control freak. I really have a hard time handing everything over to someone else, even though they're, these surgeons are brilliant people. Anyway, Derek, a stand so I can suspend my phone over a sheet of paper for Zoom meetings. Okay, now Derek, you did speak about Zoom the other day. There was a scare about Zoom, and I said, I've got rid of Zoom. I might reinstall it again, so maybe for people on the Patreon page. My patrons, I might be able to set up a Zoom meeting where everyone can be on the screen at once. We can chat. That's a specific thing for the patrons. Let me get back up through here. I've been chatting too much. Hold on, there's a phone. I love these little prompts, please text me. I've got someone coming to pick some stuff up here a little bit later on today. I've been pulling an old unit out of the walls and the material on it's particle board flooring, and it's perfectly good, but I have no use for it. So I've rung up one of the builders that used to work for me and said, do you want it? It's yours. And so he might be wanting to come and pick it up. Okay, so I'm reading back through here. Okay, Dave Rollins, by take the floor, I meant begin to say something. Okay, Derek, fix Deb's Triton power saw. Good. Giles, hello from Shannon, Quebec. Henry, hey Dave, say to Peru, hello Peru, how are you all there? Are you in lockdown as well? David Lucy, good morning, all from my hospital bed. Looking forward to getting back home and the shed soon. Hi Dave from Russ Albright, what a surprise. Magnetic bar for tools. That's a good idea. Ian, hello from Penticton. Is that how you say it? Penticon? Penticton. I guess that's how you say it. BC, British Columbia, is that? Wayne fired up the generator yesterday and ran the aircon in the motorhome and ran it for an hour or so. See, these are all things that we've got to do, they're specific to what you're up to. 3D printed handle for broken screwdriver. John, in your state, do you get a ticket for not wearing a mask when you go outside? Mine does. Okay, in Australia, they're telling us, don't wear gloves, don't wear masks. Not yet. There's a massive shortage for people that are doing, surgery and all that kind of hospital stuff, and gloves are essential for them. Now, I have I've got a mask that, the little stealth thing that is easy to wear, and I've got gloves. I've got an abundance of gloves that I use for when I'm doing epoxy resin and glues like that. So I'm pretty right as far as that's concerned. But they're saying just to take a sanitizing hand wash with you everywhere you go. So as soon as you get in the car, if you've been shopping, wash your hands, maintain a good 1.5 to 4 meters away from other people. In all the places that I've been to, the stores, the post office, things like that, there are lines and crosses for where people to stand. Don't go closer. And everyone there is, even the people at the post office, when I posted a mug off to Wayne the other day for becoming a patron, the person behind the counter was wearing a mask, but they're encouraging just the average people, don't wear masks. They say there's more problems for you if you don't wear them correctly and you don't put your gloves on and clean properly after it. You're going to be more of a chance of spreading. So I've backed off from wearing the gloves, and I have a pump dispenser in the car in the console that has got this alcoholic hand cleaner sanitizer. All right, keep reading down. David, Lucy, good morning, all from hospital. David, you're in hospital. Bugger. Didn't know you were going into hospital, mate. I hope you're okay. Okay, Derek, articulated, hedged with long arm. I have one of those as well, but it's a pain. Okay, so, man, oh man, you're all getting into it. Giles, I do painting, baseboards and inside doors. Good. Les, yeah, little job that keeps getting put off is a French cleat rack for all my wood chisels. Done half. Mate, this corona thing is going to be with us for a long time. So don't panic. A lot of people have been looking at it thinking, me in particular, maybe 3 or 4 weeks, and then we're back out to it. Don't kid yourself. Don't kid yourself. I think that they're going to hold on to this one for a long time. This might be 6 months that we're stuck inside, might be longer. That's what they're gearing up for. Stuart finally got round to flipping my MFT table over and fitting it and routing it for a replaceable strip on the cutting line. Took a little time, can't figure why I didn't get it done months ago. My point exactly. John, you get used to hospitalisation, Dave. John, how are you, mate? Derek just finished one with Seattle, New York and San Antonio. So that is Zoom, I'm guessing. I'm going to look into it a bit more, Derek. I know that I panicked about it the other day, but, well, I'm going to do it. Zoom haven't announced to fix the security issue yet. I thought they had, John. I was looking at some read-ups yesterday, and it said it was 19 hours ago. It should be okay. But there's a problem with Microsoft. As everyone will say, oh yeah, Microsoft's always got a problem. You always should use Apple. Well, maybe, but 90% of the people in the world use Microsoft. So, hey, David, I have made a bee hotel that takes the biscuit for whimsical activity. David Rollins, I'm having a hard time understanding that one, but Paul Lindhag, hello from Alaska. Derek, not worrying us, John. They have done a few patches yesterday. Yeah, I thought so. Okay, Ian Eason, Pentactin, British Columbia. Oh, Pentactin. Okay, thank you. Thank you. See, this is live and learn, live and learn. How many people knew that's how you pronounce it and BC stood for British Columbia? Or better still, how many people didn't know BC was British Columbia? I have a guess, but there's a lot of states in the States, that's probably why they call them the States, 52 of the things, I think. Okay, so Jeremy, picture frame repair and ones that have been put off, and I'm running out of excuses. Yeah, that's something. They have some good advice, Varja Han. Okay, so what country are you in, Vaha? I'm guessing with your name it's possibly Vietnam. Russ, how are we doing? John, yep, good. Just kept blowing my nose when I go outside. Work so far. That's probably a good idea as well. But the thing is, you're putting the hanky back over your nose, unless you do the old bush nose blow, which when I'm out in the garden, sometimes that's what I do. Just grab hold of the side and give it to it. And people are probably going to be disgusted by that. But when you're on the tools, and you're sawdust everywhere when you're working, there's no time for hankies. Just blow your nose, keep going. Yep. The other day, Vicky washed her hands in the workshop here. She'd been doing something. And then I said, "There's a towel just there." And she said, "No, I got pants." I'm not taking it any further. All right. David, I didn't know I was going to hospital either, but I'm good and out today. Great. Mike Deam, morning, resumed, now forced P-word and waiting room for arrivals. Issue is encryption of data. Zoom staff can't enter meeting unless you allow them. Nothing I'm talking about is that important. Well, there you go. Thanks, Mike. Let me see. Michael McKinney, what is the best bandsaw for the money? Thanks. Look, there's lots of brands of bandsaw out there. I can't really comment on the Lagunas. The Lagunas are nice machines. They've got a foot brake on some of them, which I think is a really nice thing. My one, which is just behind me over here, has an electronic brake. What happens is when you turn the machine off, it turns the motor into a generator, and so it slows itself down. But it still takes about 5 to 6 seconds before it stops. That's when I turn it off, you'll hear this. That's the electrics and the magnets and everything saying, "Hello, we want to stop this saw." So, there's all sorts of ones. Normally, price is a good indicator as to how good a saw is. Also, how big the saw's got to be. You can get those little 6-inch that are 3 wheels. They're not really good. The reason being, because they're so small, they run the they run the blade around too sharp an angle around that radius of 3 inches, and the blades tend to snap pretty quickly. So you leave those ones alone. So the smallest one that I'd recommend would be around about a 10-inch. Mine's a 14, and that's all I need. You can go up to 20s, 21s, and bigger. Stan has got a monstrous one, but he's got a full-on sawmill that he works with. Then you go to the things like Mac Cremona's got, where he does slab work, and I think April's just recently built one with him. And she set up her kind of wood shop place away from her own home now. So good luck to April with that. She's worked hard, and why not? Some people in Australia, we've got this thing called a tall poppy syndrome. If anyone starts doing too good, the rest of us try and pull them back down to the earth. Paul Hogan suffered that for a little bit for a while. Let me keep going through here. So, as I say, it's go to different forums. I personally, if I wanted a kind of a budget saw that worked really, really well, and I wanted to do a little bit of alloy cutting as well, like aluminium and brass and maybe a bit of copper, I would get the ones that I know about, the Carbotech. They've got a 2-speed saw. I did a video for Carbotech about that saw as well. It's not a bad saw. So you could have a look at that. They're about $1,000 Australian, or maybe a little bit less, maybe 900. And now with China, with all of this, they're not producing things, and Taiwan and everyone, they've all been slowed down. You might want to look at doing something sooner rather than later, if you catch my drift. Okay. Derek, Dave, we need you to share a photo of the Bee Hotel on Facebook. Yes, why not? Pomar, hi from Ukraine. I'm hoping that's how you pronounce your name, because it's spelt, is that Russian spelling? I can't understand half of those letters. David, 50 states. Okay. Did it used to be 52, or has it always been 50? Because you've got Hawaii and Alaska. Was it 48 states before? Let us know. There's just silly little things that, you don't normally take time. I bet there's a whole lot of things about Australia that you're not aware of. So why should us in Australia be aware too much in great detail about what's happening in other countries or their makeup? Okay, Paul, best way to attach an apron to the homemade MFT tabletop. The way that I've done mine is the best way. I use the legs as a clamp that locks the front on. Meaning, talking about in Zoom meeting, ran out of space. Okay, Mike, thanks. Paul, morning for all. Govinda, hey Dave and all. Hey Govinda, how are you? Now, Govinda is a guy, he's a lucky guy. He's a hacker. He's a computer hacker and he does it for a living. Now, he doesn't try and break into Fort Knox. He does this for security companies. And he tries to find how hackers are breaking into banks and all that kind of stuff. And he tries to get patches for it. So he is a hacker that you want to keep on your side. So thank you very much for all the work you do, Govinda. Okay, you guessed right. I am from Vietnam. At least this outbreak helped dog and cat stop being eaten at my country. It's kind of angry that in these couple of years, nice to see that it's been stopped for a while for the government. Yeah, now, that's an interesting thing. It's a very interesting thing. I've got some friends who are in Singapore, and they said, what's wrong? I think it's Singapore. What is wrong with eating dog? You guys eat kangaroo. And it took me back for a little bit. Dogs are worldwide. Man's best friend, always have been. Kangaroo, I think people probably see overseas, oh, they're so cute and all that kind of stuff. But it's a very lean meat. Horse meat and kangaroo, they say, is very low in cholesterol. That's an interesting, this is starting to get into meat eaters versus vegetarians and all that kind of stuff. Even fish. Now, I enjoy eating tuna because it's good for your brain and I need as much brain food as possible. But in the fountain, I've got goldfish that live underneath, and I've got a grid over the top to protect them from birds attacking and taking them, because that used to happen, and also to stop kids falling in. So it works two ways. And now, when I go out there in the evening, Vicky and I go over to the fountain and just sit down on that chair that I painted the other night, which is one of Arthur's old chairs that he built. And the fish come up. They see us and they swim up to us. And I throw them some food. Where do you draw the line? Like, that's a hard one. That's a topic that could go on for years and years and years. Okay. Okay. Just chatted to a friend in Cambodia. Punishment for gathering or eating on the street is an on-the-spot caning. Wow. Wally, always 50. Okay. Ken, Hawaii and Alaska were 49 and 50. Okay, thanks, Ken. Norman Covington, lower 48, then Alaska and Hawaii. David, always been 50. Yeah, see, this is why I asked the questions. It was 48. And then they added these other two. They bought Alaska, $20 or something, whatever it was, and now they've got all this oil in there. I'm getting an impression from that magnet hole straight in my arm. Fletch 50 says 48 connected the continental USA and other two are Alaska and Hawaii. Govinda, a nice big smile. Ian, kangabangers. But I think the wrong thing is how they get the meat. They actually get those dogs from thief they don't raise by themselves. Okay, they steal the dogs from someone and then eat it. That's a hard one. That is a hard one. Because then you've got the thing as well about, do you let people starve or do you eat the dog? I know that the explorers, when they did the South Pole and North Pole and everything, they had the dog sleds. When they got caught and they couldn't move and they'd one by one, they'd eat the dogs. And never got back. Obviously, the stupid thing to eat the dogs, wasn't it? They should have just left the dogs stay alive and jump on the sled, head back home. That's my answer anyway. I couldn't imagine Barry the pug being in a sled, a dog team pulling a sled. Oh dear. He'd have to have got off Vicky's lap first to get tied up with the sled. Okay. David M. Hello from Wisconsin. How are you, David? Derek, if anyone mentions the C word, the chat will be locked down by YouTube and not appear on the replay. Please just don't use it. Okay, thanks, Derek. Derek is now a moderator. So he's got the power to stop you as soon as, while I'm chatting, he's in the background keeping an eye. Good on you. Thanks, Derek. David, number was 48 until August 1959. Good. 48, then in the 60s they made Alaska. Prior to that were considered territories. Morning, Dave, from Terry. Are you running some of your vac lines underfloor? And if so, how high are your floor joists? Terry, yes. I have a vac line. If you go back and have a look through my videos, go onto my channel or just go into YouTube and type in Dave Stanton shop tour. That should get you. There was possibly a shop tour I did around 5 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, and I show you all the way down the side of this docking station that I've got for the CapEx. There is a skirting board in front of this unit, under the unit obviously, and it's a dummy board. And behind that is a 5-inch dust line, and it feeds to different points along this docking station. You can see the end of the docking station is just over here. It's 9 meters long, because that's when I was building. I used to bring big stuff in here and cut up, like pre-cut pergolas and everything before I take them out to site. So there's a line along there, and then it goes under the floor, and at that point it's about that deep, because this is a false floor over the top of a concrete slab. So it's elevated about that high at that particular point. And I've used a 4-inch line from there up to the underside of the table saw, the Craig Foreman, and my router table. Hope that answers the question for you. Wally, I'm really glad to live in the times we are in today. Yeah, so am I, Wally. Derek, Barry would have been in charge and supervising the rest of the dog. Barry would still be back at Mawson's hut. He'd be sitting back, having a couple of biscuits, and say, I'll see you guys when you come back. Russell Painter, hello Dave and others. Late arrival due to breakfast. G'day Russell, how are you? David Tackland, I think we're going to make Australia the 51st state. Do you? I think you already consider us part of America anyway, or part of the United States. David Rollins, I posted a photo of the B Hotel on Facebook page, Derek. There you go. You like that, did you, Var? David, Barry was in charge of all the snacks. Now, talking about Barry, I don't know why I said Barry, but it's Bob. Now, you remember the other day, I'm just going to take a break here for the moment, and we're going to look at Bob Macker's stuff. Now, remember on the show, and you notice on this is basically a chat. There's no intro music, things like that. This is just a midweek hangout to stop you going mental. Okay, so I'm going to show you the pictures. I've sorted it out. So I'm going to go down to this there, and I'm going to cancel that, of course. We'll just do a transition. Okay, so these are the parts I'm going to read through. So these are the parts required to build the gates. Now the next photo, let me see if I can get this done without too much mucking around. There we go. Transition. There's the next photo. Assemblies, putting in screws from the inside of the gate to make them invisible, so to speak. So this is working all right. And now the next one we've got is screwing the two halves of the housing together. And whilst this might seem, obvious, this is really good. I love seeing people doing this stuff and making their own. Why not? Why not? Now you notice also Bob's got C written beside it as well, so that I know where I'm at. Oh, thank you very much for that, Bob. And the next one, of course, is D, because he's got a little sign there for me. Gate housing assembled and fitting MDF slide and marking out the holes for the PVC. And the next one is E, because he's got E there. Cutting holes in the MDF and showing rough cut handle stopper. Note the assembly line in the background. I love this stuff. Thank you so much for doing all this, Bob. Okay, so the next one is the finished blast gate. Hold on. I don't know. That looks like it's in the bobbin sander cleaning it off, Bob. Maybe I've got the wrong photo there. Maybe I have. Anyway, one shows gate holes being sanded to size on the bobbin sander, whilst another shows 5 gates in various stages. So let's go through to image 12 and see if that is going to be the rest of them. 2 had their first coat of shellac. Okay, so he shellacked them as well, and I'm guessing this is to seal them. Would that be right, Bob? Jump in and let me know. And then this is the photo we saw last week on the show where he's got the systems going across. He's got a roller door into his garage. So he's got that there, and he's just got down ports so he can plug into any of them he wants for any of his machines. And also for, we used to say it, for Ron. That's for later on. Okay, and there's the last one there. That's great. Now he says here the beauty of making the blast gate slides so that they slide right through is that they are self-cleaning. Anyone making gates should ensure that this type of slide needs a fair amount of room to operate. I did have to make one that has an internal stop and therefore no hole in the slide. You know what I mean? So I'm guessing it's that photo that we've got at the moment because it can't slide into the air conditioner unit behind it. Why did I make them? He says, I got tired of plastic ones breaking and it seemed like a good project and I had fun making them and they look pretty homely up there on the pipe. a bit of character if you know what I mean. So I'm going to come back down to this one and I'm back at, what do you think? I think that's fantastic that Bob sent those in to us. And I'm glad that I didn't use the dreaded slideshow. That was a killer. I'm going to read again. Derek, hey, looks great, David. Been meaning to do something, but not sure if the bees do over winter. Get little sleeping bags and a glass of port. It'd be a honey port. David Tackman, first 50 states, you will be required to speak English. Some of the court actually been beat to near death to make them stop. Okay, Stuart Bishop, can you help me with my CNC? I have a Mac 3 license and it's 2 years, still not made a thing. Help, please. Stuart, I did a couple of videos using Mac 3. Now, everyone's aware that Avid CNC gave me that machine that I've got, and I had Mac 3 and they've sent over Mac 4, and I've had to do a little upgrade on Mac 4 too, because like all new software, there's patches they send out to trick it up. So Mac 3 was nice. I like Mac 3. Mac 4 is a little bit smoother or maybe a little bit more user-friendly. It's got more pictures and things like that as they're developing it. But Mac 3 does a great job. Watch the videos I've done on how to make something in Mac 3 CAD and then go over to CAM and then activate it on the machine. Okay, Trev. Hi, Dave. Loving this while in isolation. That's good, Trev. David, nor do I, Derek. I'm just following the experts on the web. I told you. They put a little sleeping bag on and have little tiny cups. But you'll have to drive on the right-hand side of the road. What are we going to do with all our cars? We drive on the left-hand side of the road. All our steering wheels are on the right-hand side. We'll look really strunny. Strunny? We'll have to put a sign on the back. In Australia, if someone's got a left-hand drive vehicle, they put a little sign, left-hand drive, across the back. And it looks really weird when you look across and someone's sitting in the passenger seat driving. 51st state vote. No, John, don't you want to be part of America? We'd have to have Donald Trump as the president. We'd have to get rid of Scott Morrison. I'm not even going to start. I'm not going to start there because I don't want to show favour or no favour to anyone, especially in politics, because I would... I've stopped. Shh. Okay, David Lucy. I did get a few new tools last week directed towards metalwork, MIG welder, plasma cutter and air compressor. I intend to teach my son to weld over the holidays. Around about 2 years ago, I bought a TIG welder. With the spools and everything. It's still in the box. It's one of those things that I never got the chance to play around with. Now with this lockdown, I might get it out and have some fun. Derek, John, we would be back to Imperial. No, we might be able to convert them all over to metric. I don't know. Russell, putting more storage into the garage workshop under the jointer. Why is it called a jointer? It doesn't join anything. Well, it is a jointer. It prepares the timber for a join. There you go. The same reason why they call a thicknesser, because it takes it to the thickness you desire. It doesn't add timber on, it reduces it, but it reduces it to the thickness. Russell, looks good. David M, nice gates, I like them. I haven't seen that because I'm stuck here. I can't go over to Facebook and have a look. Russell, I'd love to have an extraction system. Well, do it. Just do it. If you've got the capacity to be able to do it, do it. I heard on the other channels, build channels, that the first cases of corona have been reported at 2002 in Wuhan, and 2 people actually predicted the coronavirus. Mind-blowing information. Wally, you don't want to be part of America either. Ian, they tried to annex. They tried to annex us in 1812. We burnt their presidential mansion. They had to whitewash in it, hence the White House. Ian, I'm guessing you're talking about Canada. Or Canada. Okay. All right. Okay, so I'm guessing, Derek, you're canning people for mentioning Corona. All right. Okay, if you want to. David, there are a lot of Davids. David M, I would rather have everything metric. The math is much easier. It is so easy. Russell, not enough space for an extractor. Russell Painter, if I park on the skew and fold the mirrors in, I can operate the car okay. Okay, whatever. Oh man, I just trying to spread the knowledge. Yep, that's fine. Derek, I really haven't got a problem with people talking about Corona. It's fine. YouTube will delete the chat by default. Oh, will it? Okay. Fair enough. Delete it then. But the thing is, they can't delete the chat. I've embedded it in the video. So the chat's not going to come up on the side. They can get rid of it. It's locked into the video. All right. How about we do, I'm going to do a little bit with that fence. Now, last week on the show, the last you saw was I ran it on the CNC. I've got it sitting over there, and let me see if I can find this other camera. Camera 3. Finally, give me a second here. 6 knots. First time I'm from Australia, Gold Coast. G'day, 6 knots. How are you? John, finally printing some, other than last orders, 3D printing surgical mask, ear savers. Connects the elastic across the back of the head, used at Mum's dialysis unit. Just put C. Okay, there you go. That's something. Derek, as a moderator, has said that if you mention Corona or anything like COVID-19 or whatever it is, YouTube is deleting chats. So what we're going to do is, if you need to mention anything about that Voldemort disease that may not be named, just call it C. All right? Thank you very much for that, Derek. All right, I'm going to switch over to this other camera. And yeah, let's go with that one. It's got me in, no, stuff it. That's, I was going to go with just, no, let's go to this one. There we go. All right, coming back over and got the muffs and my remote for the dust extractor. So this is a little thing hanging on my hip, and it turns it on. And you guys can keep an eye on the time. We're going to finish when the big hand comes up to the 12. You know, when Mickey's like this. Ah. All right. I'm set at 0.5 millimeter. I'm going to lower it down a little bit lower. We'll take off 1 millimeter at a time. Put the eye muffs on. So what I'm doing is I'm taking this lip off. I was going to cut off with the table saw, but I think it's going to be a bit safer just to dress it off. It's not going to take me long. Nearly there. There we go. So now I've got a flat surface and the outside, and it's nice and straight now. There is no cup in it anymore because it's laminated. Take the eye muffs off and back to the other camera. There we go. So what do you reckon? That's ready now to go on there. And I've cut it this morning before I started. Let me turn it over like that. So now you can see there. The rock maple is going to finish in line there. And I've got to cut the shapes up here yet. But that'll be nice. I should really check that for 90 degrees. This is a bold move, but I'm not going to do it because I've still got to dress this face, a very, very shallow pass on the jointer. It'll go through like this. This side will be against the jointer's fence, which is already set to 90 degrees, and that will give me a perfect 90 degrees down this face, or down this edge, whatever you want to call it. I really do have to have a look at this, because if someone sent me a text, I need to see it. There, text. There's voicemails there waiting for me, so I will look at that in another 20 minutes. Because I've got the trailer loaded up with all of this gear for this guy to pick up from me, and it's parked up at the house. I'll just drive it up to the street, because if you know where I live, it's a very difficult access. And I have to bring things on a very low flat trailer because basically you're going through a restriction in height around about 2.1 meters. Anything bigger than 2.1, you cannot get down into my backyard. Coffee. And I'm going to start doing a bit more of a read. Okay. Just put C. Okay. Sounds like an idea, John. David M. Remember when we first started watching Muggins here years ago, long before he was building an outfeed table for his old table saw. Things have changed. Oh yeah, haven't they ever? But hopefully for the better. Hopefully for the better. Where are we up to now? So that was that. Ran that little bit of timber there. Now the other thing I was going to do with this, by all means, please keep chatting. Not a problem at all. I'm going to run that chamfer. I'm not going to do any sanding because I don't want to bore you to death. So on my Stanton bench here, and you knew I was going to make a comment about it, this is a fantastic thing to get. Get the plans or buy one from me if you're in Australia whilst this corona lockdown's on, because if you're in a spot like, if you are in a home unit or a restricted area, don't have a workshop or a garage, and you want to do a little bit of woodworking, these things work fantastic. So as I said, in Australia, I can give you a complete kit to make one, or, you know, it's all ready to go. All you do is you join the front on, put a finish on it, put the T-track in, it's already ready for you to go. And the anti-slip strips, and you know, you set it up on a kitchen bench anywhere and keep having fun. So at the moment, I've got this rested in one of the dog holes. So if I bring it back here, you'll see what I'm doing, like that. And then it's just a matter of my little turn. I love this plane. Is that exciting? Gene, hi Dave, Gene from New York. First time I caught you live. G'day Gene, how are you, buddy? Yes, for the better, absolutely. Are you saying the beginning was crummy? Greg, hi all, just catching a few minutes between patients. Yeah, Greg, how do you go with that? Do you wear a mask when they walk in? Like, are you protecting yourself from people that might have the C word? See, if we say the C word, everyone's going to think something else that's not a very nice word. It's a funny one. That's a funny one. I'm going to keep... This is a situation where you know this plane would have ended up on a scrap heap somewhere. Oh, you know that I've just been making some storage units for Vicky. I finished them all, and I've got a little bit more to do some other stuff in that room. So I was going to show you a picture, if you're interested. I've filmed the whole process, but I haven't created the video. I haven't done all the editing yet. And I use this a lot. The reason being the plywood. Let me step back a little bit. So in these units, they're big, 8 foot long by 6 feet tall, 2 feet deep. And I created dados 2 millimeters deep, 15 millimeters wide for this 15 millimeter thick plywood. You would think that that's what to do, but you know, the plywood was ranging between 15 and 16 millimeters. So I had, rather than redo all the dados, I used this little guy to just ease off the underside of each of the shelves. So planed it off, and it worked brilliant. It was so quick and did a great job. Anyway, I'll show you a picture if I can find one here. Okay, so this is what Vicky's doing with the units. This is one of them. There's 2 more going into that storeroom. And it's fantastic. She does a lot of dressmaking, so she's got her machines in there and material she buys from all over the place. And, you know, why not? I think it's great. So 3 of those units, happy wife, happy life. Okay, David, hi Greg, nice break to have. But I just got a question. Can a kangaroo use one leg to walk or crawl? I have never seen it. You know, I saw a picture years and years ago, well, a little cartoon, and there was these frogs from a French restaurant, and they're all coming out. They were in wheelchairs, little crutches. Anyway, not the sea, it's the bug. Okay, Derek, that's a better idea, John. Apologies. Yeah, the bug. Call it the bug. Yeah. David, no. Sorry, just meant you were quite excellent back then. Just didn't have the fame. Oh, well, thank you. Okay, it's okay, Derek. I didn't know YouTube would do that. That's all. Okay. What's wrong with calling you no? I don't know. I'd have to research it. Maybe some other people might know the answer there. It's okay, Derek. Didn't know. David Rollins. Dave, I was thinking of building a crosscut, etc. sled for my new saw stop. Do you have any views on the usefulness or views on whose plans are worth considering? Okay, Nick Ferry has a really nice set of plans for a crosscut sled. He's the guy that I would try and copy. I don't use sleds much. I may go back to using my sled. I've got a sled for my table saw that I made years ago, and a long time ago. And one of the things I did with this, I created this box at the back. Now, I think I did this possibly before it became fashionable, but it was an area where, and I've put stops in my table saw as well. Look, I'll tell you what, if we've got a second, I'll show you my sled. So I'll switch over the cameras in a second. Give me a sec. I've got a camera already set up here, and I'll aim that down a little, and I'll switch the cameras over now. It's the one that I had set up at the jointer. You might be interested to see this. Second camera on its own. There we go. All right, so watch what I'm going to do here. My table saw, this lives underneath, but I'm not going to put it under at the moment because it's a little bit of mucking around to do that. I've got a hose there. Overhead, and this, pull this out, razor up. Release. There we go. Now, with a sled, it probably is a good idea to use a riving knife. I have my riving knife here. It's a little bit thinner. This is a narrow rip, and you can see it's got a bit of movement there because I need to put a spanner on it down there and just tighten it up to grab it. But this stops timber moving around on top of the sled as well. So, you know, it's still not a bad idea to pop that in, but I'm going to leave it out for the moment. As I say, I'm just going to show you what I've got. Now, you can put this back on and down. I'll drop this down out of the way. And it's got a crosscut blade in there. It's not a rip blade. Now, I don't know if you can see. I'm going to have a quick look around the front here just to check. Yes, you can. See these bits of timber here? These guys. What I've done is they're stops for my sled, so it can't go any further. I never get in trouble with that. I'll throw the sled on. You can have a look. It just hangs on the wall for whenever I need it, and I use it normally for doing small stuff. So this is my sled, and you can see there's not much to it. See up here, that says me. So when it's traveling through here, it can't go any further. I've got it locked in there. It can't go. So the blade, I'll show you with the blade at full height. That blade is never going to be a problem for me. So as I'm sliding things through, now this is my dust hose, and it plugs in to the side of the box that I've got here. See that? Now I could possibly put a longer one on. I think that's going to work. Yeah, I've got a second port up here that I go to. If I put it in the second port, which goes to another dust extractor, there it is. I'll show you what it looks like when I drop this down. Now, what I was thinking of doing is, rather than having this kind of situation, possibly have it a little bit flatter, maybe up higher, and then put a Perspex top across here and have brush down either side to stop dust getting out. And then you'll have air being pulled down through there and air being pulled through here, because this is a dust port, as well as being my safety box. So the blade lives inside here. As I slide the sled this direction, it can't, I'm never exposed to it. And this is a dust port here that plugs into. And it works really, really well. You know, it's just, I never, you know, sleds, I've got the Capex, I've got the table saw, I've got the TS55. So that's basically my setup. The sled, every now and then for small parts I'll use. But even if you had a T-track in here with some clamps and some stops and things, that'd work well. I use the end of a pencil that's got an eraser on the end. For really small stuff, I hold that with the eraser, holding it against the edge there if I haven't got a clamp that can lock onto it. But anyway, that's the sled. All right, come back to the other camera and see if there's any chat. There we go. All right, where are we? I was thinking of building a crosscut sled, except, yes, okay, so there you go. Greg, glad they got through the door. That was never going to be a problem, Greg, you know that. Where are we next? Lost Wits, next step is custom-made boxes crates for the pigeonholes. You know what? That was a discussion when Vicky put the stuff in it yesterday. I said, you know, those crates are a little bit big, and she said, well, you know what, bad luck. She thinks I'm excessive. she thinks I go over the top a little bit sometimes. Anyway, in theory, a kangaroo could use one hind leg and use their tail and the two front to move the two back legs. I don't know if the theory has ever been put to the test. No, and I don't really want to do that. The disease that shall not be named. Yep. Okay, Paul, a kangaroo can do without a leg, but not without its tail. Ian, I think the problem has been idiots are posting conspiracy theories and fake cures on YouTube, so the key word, eliminate the riff-riff. Good idea. Fair enough. A confusing fact. Okay, John, just make certain that T-track is not near the blade of a sled for the saw stop. Correct. Correct. Or if you wanted to, you could use Microjig's system where they actually put a slot, like a dovetail slot, with a cutter, and then their clamps have got a dovetail base, and you'd slide those in. And they seem to be popular. I'm not a fan of them because I just get concerned that possibly they're going to tear out. But I haven't used one, so how can I say? You know, let's say this is just chat. Ian, damn autocorrect. But can you? I don't know. Make a wooden lamp? I don't know. Are we talking about the lamp base or the bulb? You know, obviously, that's just silly. A wooden lamp, I guess I could. I'm not going to today, though. David M. I was looking in at Inkra's sled. Any opinions? I think they've got a great sled. Yep. They've got a good system because they've also got a situation on the right-hand side that is going to keep the base flat. So one part's moving and the other part's stationary. And as I say, because it's flat, the problem, what I'm talking about there, say I've got a piece of timber. Let me see. This will do it. This step here. Let's pretend this is the table saw's top, and this is the part that you're on the sled, sliding backwards and forwards. When you do the cut, the piece of timber will drop onto there, and as it drops, it will then want to fall back towards the edge of the blade and get caught and thrown at you. PASG has made a lampshade from wood shavings. I can make a lamp out of wood. All I do is get a whole heap of sawdust, set fire to it. There's a lamp. Russell, I've seen a lampshade made of plain shavings glued to plastic. What is the most dangerous tool in woodwork? Minnesota, Boston. What is it dangerous? Well, anything is dangerous. Give you for instance, cutting plywood. Okay, this is plywood, right? Now, if I've got a big sheet, and this is a little thing that happened to me while I was making these units. I've got an 8 foot by 4 foot sheet of ply, and I'm cutting it to size, popping it in the back. Now, because the backs, I didn't want you to be able to see the backs from the side, I rebaited all the way around the inside of the back of the unit. The unit's dividers were all 6 millimeters less than the overall depth of the cabinet. So they were already housed back. But I didn't want to see little track marks out the end, so I put a rebate cutter, or a rabbit cutter, in the router. I went round the whole job. So I have these circles in the corners. Now, I didn't want to shape a circle to each corner, so I just cut a 45 degree around about an inch away, because they're just bracing backs. That's what they're for. Now, if you try and cut plywood like this, thin plywood, the blade will catch and skip out, and on the next stroke, see what's going to happen? See my thumb? It's going to cut it. So you have to hold it flat for thin plywood. Hold it flat to cut it. Don't ever try and cut like it's a crosscut saw. Little things like that. So a saw can be really dangerous, but table saws are dangerous, of course. They're, you know, they say that there's 20 amputations a day in the States from people using table saws. Where do I get that information? From SawStop. SawStop have got all these facts and figures from the health departments or whatever in the States. Let me have a look here. Steve, lots of SawStop brakes have been set off by Incra might have set up being too close to the blade. Correct. David, pigeons and kangaroos. I thought this is a woodworking channel. Yes, pigeons. I didn't see anyone talking about pigeons. David, table saw. Barry, a blunt tool. Dead right. Dead right. Greg, the operators are the most dangerous. I agree. Mike, Deam, you're with Greg. Let me read back through there. I missed it. Okay. Russell Painter, all woodworking machinery is designed to cut. Very few are designed to tell the difference between wood and fingers. Exactly right. David M. Some say it's a radial arm saw or the adjustable hole cutter that goes in the drill press. My dad used to call them widowmakers. Radial arm saws, if you don't know what you're doing, yes. Why is a radial arm saw more dangerous than a conventional drop saw, chop saw, whatever you want to call miter saw? The blade is turned, let me see. All right, the saw is in front of me. There's my bench here. I've got the piece of wood here. And with a radial arm saw, you pull it back towards you and then you push it back. Now the thing is, with a radial arm saw, the blade is turning this direction. So it's going to want to climb out of that cut and at you. Now, if you're not careful and if you don't keep enough back pressure on that saw, it's going to start to run. And if your fingers are in the way, if you're holding a piece of wood, yeah, dangerous. Also, radial arm saws have got dado heads as well. Because we used to use them, you know, for where in bottom plates of wall frames, you'd do a checkout for the studs to go into. Of course, what would happen in the old days, the timber wasn't milled as parallel as it is now. It would be up and down a little bit. One side would be straight and the other side would be all over the place to wherever it got cut. And you'd find that the studs are all cut to one length and you'd trench the bottom plate and the top plate. And that would give you a constant height of the wall frame right the way through. So those things, you know, there's a lot happening there. Those things are pretty dangerous. All right, let me have a look here. We're going to have to wind it up pretty quickly. John, message Derek, GTG, another Vidicon. Thanks, Dave. Got to go. Okay. Do you have any tips on how to make the wool fire resistance? No. Make stuff, I mean. Look, we're going to have to leave that at the moment, and I'm going to get going. Thanks for dropping in. I hope it's been a nice little reprieve from the week of the bug. And let me see if I've got anything here. I've got this one here, which is thank you so much to all of my patrons for supporting me. It's going to be almost impossible to do this kind of stuff without your support. And let me see if I've got anything here. Look, I don't think I'm going to finish it off with any rolling script. It's just a chat and a little bit that I did in the meantime. You know, this is a behind the scenes kind of thing. But there you go. Thanks for watching. Look after yourselves, be nice to each other, and I shall see you on the show, which hopefully this time is going to premiere at the right time. Didn't premiere last time, but that will happen Australian Eastern Standard Time, Sunday morning, 11 o'clock. Check a world clock to see where your time zone relates to my time zone. So my time zone is Greenwich Mean Time plus 10 hours. That's all you got to know. All right then, thank you very much, and I shall see you all later.